First, let me share with you one African proverb that if you don't know where you're going, any road will do. So, often, to deal with any problem, we first have to recognize that the problem is there. If we're sick, we need some help. If we're having something that's missing in our lives, but if we don't think that nothing is missing or we don't need any help, we won't pursue help. We think we're okay, we won't take the medicine that's available. So first we wanted you to look at these things about serving two masters so that we could all look and see in some areas where we're clear that we're not properly focused. And then we wanted you to discuss it amongst yourself because really, practically you all had the answers. It's a matter of working on those things. You also should have seen that much of the stress, the depression is connected with serving the wrong master. Serving your senses, going for the temporary things, doing things that are deviant, and especially in knowing but still doing. Some of you discussed that you don't seem to have strength. Some of you mentioned about so many negative forces in the workplace, at home, etc. Negativity is just like disease. Disease is everywhere, it's always there. When your resistance becomes weak, then you become susceptible. Like someone going to court and having committed a crime, and they lead to judge, Your Honor, Satan made me do it. Negative energy made me do it. Curse made me do it, etc. Well, even though that may be the case, but still, we accessed our free will in a certain way that allowed us to connect. And by a connection, then a certain response came. It's one of the old time discussions of free will versus predestination. Yes, we all have free will, but we also have predestination. We have free will in as much as that we have the choice. Which master, which shelter we're going to position ourselves under. And then once, as we position ourselves each moment, then certain things distinctly happen based on particular connections. But it's within each person to use his or her free will to bring about certain events, occurrences, etc., based on how the free will is imposed. So if we're disturbed about the negativity, then raise your vibrations above it. You're disturbed about the negativity, then extinguish it by a higher power. We're disturbed about the negativity, then let it be an indication that our resistance is too low, and therefore we're being affected by it. We have to transcend it. We have to rise and see above such. Then we hear some saying that there is difficulties in priorities, and that confuses them in terms of master service or brings depression. We can lead our lives in such a way that we can think in terms of, if this was my last service, this was my last activity, my last speech, my last this, my last meal, my last association, we want it to be very grand. So that's what we want. We can take each thing in a mood that this can possibly be the last thing that I'm doing. And as my soul is going to be affected by the consciousness of my past and previous activities, and especially by the activities that when the soul leaves the body, the consciousness that carries that, the gears that carry that, is going to have some direction in terms of what situations it aligns itself with. So as we do such things with such quality, and keep in our minds that whatever we're saying and doing, we should imagine whoever we love the most, or imagine that the Godhead is next to us. Therefore, the things that we do, we want to do them with such quality that as it is being observed, it will be so appreciated. And if we do things in that spirit, then we'll always keep a certain mood of trying to be as productive, as effective, as sharing, as compassionate, as kind as possible. And we'll be very equally disposed. We will not have in who out, friends and enemies. We will not be caught off guard. Because each situation will be another chance for the same spirits to serve the Lord and glorify the Lord. Then we heard such things as priorities, time. Just consider that if you had even left the body already, and if you were looking back at your situation, there would be certain things you would be thinking about. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have finished this. I wish I would have had a chance to rectify this particular problem. I only wish I could have seen that person again and have let them know what I really feel. I wish I could have, made amends with my father, my mother, my husband, my wife. So sometimes that kind of reflection is also good. And thinking that if I left the body now, there would be certain things that I would be upset about because I didn't finish it. So whatever those things are, those are some of the most important things in your life for you right now. So act upon those things now. Don't wait until you're in a situation where you didn't have time or you procrastinated and now it's beyond repair, so to speak, or you don't have time to be able to work on that. Love means being very chaste and very focused. Love is never a situation of just being so much scattered and so many things that you don't do anything. But love means that we are direct, we're chaste. And so if we're trying to love two masters where they are diametrically opposed, then that's a sign of hypocrisy. So we want to think of that in terms of importance and consideration, chastity. A few very quick points. Whatever happens in our life, we should think in terms of, not only think, but we should even speak it if necessary. We should thank God for it. We're sick, thank God. We're healthy, thank God. Somebody gave us a lot of money, thank God. Somebody gave us a little money, thank God. Somebody took a little money from us, thank God. In other words, everything that's happening for some particular reason that is part of your life space. And as you accept and use it as still a way to be productive, and whatever you have to learn from that, you will learn and move on. Otherwise, certain things will keep happening again and again and again because certain patterns you have not transcended or broke through. If you're sick, you thank the Lord for making you sick, allowing you to be sick, so that you can become more appreciative when you are well. So that you can take a little time and be able to sort certain things out in your life. So that you can be more introspective, more contemplative. If you have a lot of money, you thank the Lord that somehow or other this has come to you, and now you want to use it in the most auspicious way. If you have very little money, you thank and appreciate how you have that, and how many people don't even have that. As you remain positive in good or bad times, in happiness or distress, then it means your consciousness is elevated beyond the norms of mundane existence. As you are bombarded, affected, as you align or tune into, then it means you are part of that because you are too much associated with it. As we do not allow ourselves to own such things, we will not be distracted, stagnated, bothered by such, but it will be a learning experience. So even something that seems to be inauspicious can simply be a stepping stone to help us for a higher level of understanding, realization, and appreciation. When we're strong and determined, we do not let anything from us or in the environment distract from what we're trying to reach. And so if we keep goals in mind, we keep goal-oriented, then we can always see how we keep moving through in spite of certain obstacles that come into our lives because they are necessary sometimes for our acceleration. Important to always think of the welfare of others and our undertakers. Now this may seem strange, because normally we want to think about ourselves. We often think, if we don't think about ourselves, who else is going to think about us? But because we are literally all part and parcel of a universal truth, of a cosmic consciousness, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are all connected in so many ways that literally everything affects everything else. Now, as we do our part in trying to be more caretakers, then we will be empowered, endowed with more ability to act more in that particular way. Whatever we're putting our major energies into, we will simply get more of that in the near future and the far future. So as we put more energy into trying to think about what we do, what the implications and ramifications that it has, and if we are trying more and more to do things that will help inspire others, we will constantly find that things will happen to us that will allow us to be inspirational. It's almost ironic. The more we think about our own problem, the more you have more of that problem. That becomes a mantra. But as you're thinking about trying to do or gather certain things for helping others, for sharing, for developing, then you will find that what you have will magnify many times over. Importance of regulation. These are just from going around to your little groups, things I was picking up from some of the points you mentioned about depression, about serving three masters. Regulation is very important. Keep in mind now, we're all pretty much coming from backgrounds of doing things that were unhealthy for our spiritual growth. That means that is the dominant part of our consciousness. It's like we're addicted to so many things. Now we're trying to move away from those addictions. So when we are not regulated, we will have a tendency to go back to past unhealthy patterns. But when we are regulated in our meditations, in our prayers, in our eating habits, in taking care of our situations, our body, whatever, then even when we are in lower modes, even when the energies are even more dominating and bombarding us, we'll be less affected by it because we have become conditioned to a positive regulated activity. And so whether we have a lot of energy, we will do it. Whether our energy is not so strong, it's become a natural part of us, and we'll still do the thing that's most healthy. People who do not keep a sense of regulation have much more difficulty in trying to remain fixed in serving one master. They have more difficulty in controlling their senses. They have more difficulty in keeping a standard in their lives. Because once you are in lower F, it's harder then to pull yourself up than to maintain on a certain level. So consider that. Meditating at a certain time, or reading at a certain time, or a certain way of prayers. Just make your own schedules, but try to be loyal to whatever your schedule is, because that then becomes a part of greater development of consciousness for you, and it has a way to avoid certain intrusions of negativity that can come in a particular way. The last thing is to be careful about overly identifying with the physical aspect. We are soul, we are consciousness, we happen to have a body, we happen to have a house, we happen to have a car, we happen to be of this profession or that profession. These things are secondary and are changing lifetime after lifetime.